I won the pie bet. I was just like, this is football. It's awesome.
So we are live and we are recording. Woohoo! We could play our intro music. I guess.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, good morning. Nice ponchos, sir. I like it.
Thank you.
Looks good on you. You know what? You should wear it next week, too.
I don't think I will.
Woo, it is Pie in the Face Day, everybody.
It's pie in the face day every week. It just happens to be that for me today.
Well, it's our second time doing it, so if you want to see the one and only time I get a pie in the face, you can go back to last week. But
This guy.
this week we get to see, what do we got here? Triple chocolate cream pie. Should look good on you.
Yeah. And extra whipped cream, too.
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
How do you guys decide on which pie you're gonna get?
Magic 8 Ball.
For you, did you pick up the pie? Did you pick up the pie?
I did. I did.
So do you go like, this is the one I want to taste?
Yeah, that was actually exactly what I did this week.
Well,
Because
I actually got a pumpkin pie.
This guy.
And
he wanted
turns
to
out
smear a pumpkin pie in my face.
Ken hates pumpkin and was very worried about the smear factor on the face.
The
and
lack
so-
of smear. The lack of smear. Like, it should be a messy experience, right?
Hey, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I don't know. You picked a pumpkin pie. I'd be like, yeah, I guess I'm getting pumpkin pie. But next time we don't do pumpkin pie.
Right.
I would have took the pumpkin pie.
It's all right. My kids are going to be thrilled. They love pumpkin pie. So
Good.
now
you
there's
go.
pumpkin pie on the counter, and they're like,
Absolute
yes.
least favorite pie ever.
I was trying to get with the holidays, man.
Yeah. All right. So let's hop in. Who wants to get started?
All right.
Are we going to start with the pie? Or?
Well, we're going to wait for the pie just before the picks start.
Yeah.
We'll do our
Okay.
homer
So
minutes
it's-
first, get it to anybody a chance to come on in and see it.
Absolutely. I actually do have something for the Homer Minute.
Oh, fantastic.
You lead us off.
Because just from a little bit from history, just listening to people talk, water cooler talk or whatever you want to call it down by the well. And I hear this, was it worth buying the Super Bowl that one year and going through this growing pain right now? And I'm not 100% convinced that that's what happened. I know a lot of people are. And but even if that was true, yes, 100%.
Completely worth it.
100%, yes, it was. I mean, even the Super Bowl winning franchises historically, haven't won a Super Bowl this century.
It takes a while.
You know what I mean?
To get a lot. So yeah, the Cowboys get a lot of grief, but who's actually taken longer? It just doesn't really feel like it. Is the 49ers. The 49ers. It's been longer since they've won a Super Bowl than the Cowboys.
And one of the things that we kind of just been, I think, haven't really, it's been my theory, but I haven't really convinced you guys of it, is, 21 years. For me, the number is 21. 21 years, you have to have gone to 2 Super Bowls and won at least one to be considered a Super Bowl franchise, in my opinion. Okay. You have to been able to go, cheers, I'm having a beer to my team winning the Super Bowl. That's how I picked 21. Yeah, that's why I picked 21 years.
That's funny. Okay. That's interesting.
And you can luckily,
I don't hate it.
You can luckily get to a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That happens. It happens with the Panthers. You just so happen to pick the right people, and it wasn't really schemed to get there. You know what I mean? So, I'm still trying to make the argument that that's what happened with the Bengals too. They're the dysfunctional franchise that just happened to make it. They happened to get a couple good picks, and they just happened to get there. They haven't been there since, and they're on the decline. So it's like you see that happen. You got to be able to be like, nah, we made it. So I haven't done all the tallying, but I know the Rams are in that boat. I know the KC's in that boat. I think Patriots are still in that boat right now.
Way in there. That's not even close.
So, you know what I mean? And those are the ones
They're still the most dominant team over the last, if you stretch it back to 7 years, The Patriots are still the most dominant team.
So like 15 years, is that what you're saying?
If
And it also, that 21-year mark also gives everybody like enough time that they mathematically could make it in there at least twice as well, right? Because that 16 years is what you would need to be able to get there twice.
I was saying that 7 years was a short amount of time.
Oh.
So like if you're talking about 21, like it's not even a question, because that's where all of their, you know, 6 Super Bowls happen, and they went to 9.
Yeah. So it'll be a while before they kind of fall off. But.
Yeah, a little bit. Like
Thanks
by
for
that
bringing up
measurement,
those memories.
by that measurement, and that's probably like that might be an issue somebody would take with it. Is you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to give them 10 years. Listen, they've got another 10 years to figure it out, you know. Mm-hmm. And so, and I mean, but it's kind of interesting, because if they do within 10 years, you're like, see, told you. Super Bowl franchise.
Super Bowl franchise.
Yeah.
And you give them back.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting because by that marker, you know, there's a lot of teams that people would be irritated to hear that are not in there, because, you know, then it's like, sorry, Packers fans, you know, you're not in. You're not part of that group. Who else? Who's another prominent team that has a bunch of loud fans? I guess the Vikings. The Vikings wouldn't be in that group. The Vikings have a lot of loud fans. Cowboys have a lot of loud fans.
Yeah, San Francisco, the Raiders. I don't know.
Yeah, and the 49ers, they've been twice in the last, 12 years, something like that. They just haven't won. And they've had, like, a couple of really good runs, where they were a contender for, 4 years with, like, the Kaepernick group. And then they're in the middle of that now with, Kyle Shanahan and whoever he throws out at quarterback. So
I think they have a really good shot this year too.
I like them.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. They're going to continue to get healthier as the year goes along. Like you saw Jacksonville is not a bad team. And San Francisco's done that to multiple good teams. Like they crushed Dallas and they crushed Jacksonville. And their losses were, at times where their team was kind of, really down on explosive pieces, and to good opponents.
Agreed.
Anyway,
so that's my thoughts on it.
To move on into my Homer minute, right now is the sweet spot of the Cowboys schedule. So I'm kind of just like in cruise control. It feels like
cool.
From the fan perspective, it's just like as long as no injuries happen, they should just continue to blow teams out for a couple of weeks up until I think their next important game is probably Detroit, and then they have Detroit, Philly, and Miami still on the schedule.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. And I think two of those are at home. They get Detroit at home, and they get Philly at home, and then they have to go to Miami. That'll be a fun game.
Yeah.
When they go to Miami, that'll be a really fun game. But it's really funny. Like fantasy football has just it's taken over so much of sports narrative now, because it used to be about like breaking down what players are actually doing, on the field, like the good things that they do for their football team, regardless of whether or not they show up on the stat sheet. And like sometimes, especially if they don't show up on the stat sheet, especially football guys are always really good at pointing stuff like that out. And I feel like that doesn't happen as much anymore. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because like Tony Pollard's just getting murdered. Because he hasn't scored since week 1. But it's like there's just like a lot of circumstances that have, gone against him that are just kind of unusual. But he has not played bad at all.
So you still think he looks good?
I think he looks great. And he looks explosive. The thing is, the big thing is that last year what did he have last year? Like 7 plays of 50 yards or more? Something like that?
Something.
It was ridiculous. Like this year, those plays are 18 yards and 20, he's just not getting past the one last guy, but he's still exploding through the line and having explosive runs. And it's not like teams are really bottling up the Cowboys. They're just not running the ball. And you know what it really reminds me of? I've been trying super hard to get Dak in Dynasty, it reminds me of the Packers several years ago. when they had good running backs, when Aaron Jones was young, when Jamal Williams was young, like when they first got them, and they just threw the ball all the time. Even if they were, the running backs were in effective matchups, it was hard to start them, and it's still hard to start Aaron Jones, but it was hard to start them because you didn't know when they were going to score. Because even when they get down on the 2-yard line, Aaron Rodgers was going to throw a touchdown pass. So, and that's what it looks like. That's really what it looks like, and it's just that he's got a more I shouldn't say more dangerous, because Aaron Rodgers' arm is just like probably, Aaron Rodgers is probably the most dangerous passer I've ever seen. Like his ability to just all of a sudden find a guy and find an arm angle and just put that thing right on the money is there's no one that's ever been like that. But Dak has the ability to scramble, and Aaron didn't have that. So I think their offense is potentially even more dangerous than the Packers were, when Aaron Rodgers was in his heyday and they had, Devontae
and
was
when
young,
your
and
team
Jordan.
puts it together, I mean, you can absolutely see that. But it's just they're not good at putting it together consistently.
And what I'm seeing is the offense develop, they're exploding in the pass offense right now, and they're just doing so many interesting things. It's really fun to watch. Like the fact that CD still got 10 catches and 150 yards in the last game is insane, because they were using him as a decoy half the time. He was running, he'd go in motion, and then he was running the routes that he was successful on against Philadelphia. Those crossing routes, like it was like a 10-yard crosser where you just you kind of just clear behind linebackers and stuff, and anyway, and he killed Philadelphia on that. Well, they ran those routes with him again, and then ran Brandon Cooks right behind him, and that's what Cooks was getting hit on all day last week, was those routes. And I'm like, this is fun, this is cool. Like, who are you gonna stop?
Yeah,
like. If Dak is dialed in with Cooks, and he has rapport with Gallup, and he hit Gallup on a 40-yard touchdown pass last week, man, they look good. And that's the thing is, like, with Pollard, is you listen to all that, and it's like, do they need to run Tony Pollard? Do they need to give Tony Pollard the ball 25 times? They knew going into the season that he wasn't a guy that was going to have the ball 350 times. So if you actually get into games towards the end of the year where running the ball is the smartest thing to do, you'd like to have a fresh running back. So it makes a lot of sense. And if you look at to bring this full circle, if you look at the schedule, Tony Pollard has a lot of really good matchups coming up, a lot. So, and
today is one of them. So let's see what he does today.
I think we're in the
managers are very nervous.
There's Tony Pollard managers that have got to just be fed up, and so I think he's probably like, if you are like a fringe team and you really need a good move, but it's difficult because like the reason you're a fringe team is because you don't have a whole lot of pieces to extra firepower. Like Tony Pollard is somebody you could probably afford that could by the end of the year be back in the top 10, easy. Like you look at, like we talked about this off air, Brian Robinson had a 27-point game against Seattle last week, his second 20-point performance of the year, and he's a top 5 running back now. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. So, yeah, absolutely Tony Pollard could, reel off a couple of 25-point-ish games by just, finding the end zone from the 12-ish yard line or something like that. Because, like I said, they're definitely attacking with different parts of their passing game, even inside. But Tony Pollard has been breaking off chunk runs still. So he's somebody that could still score plenty of touchdowns the rest of the way.
All right. So managers have some confidence out there.
I do.
He's going to come back. For my homer moment, I just want to say Steelers are 6-3.
Nobody believes that.
And I kind of hate them right now.
You should.
They're giving me hope. I didn't have hope for this season. I really didn't.
You still shouldn't.
The growing pains, everything else. But look, we're 6-3. We have an excellent chance of being 7-3 at the end of the day today.
And no, look at the schedule. Like the schedule lines up for you guys to be like 10-4 or 11-3.
I know.
It's insane.
I'm loving it.
And also look at what just happened on Thursday night.
I know.
Like your two biggest and last week every other team in your division just blew a tire.
Yeah.
On Cincinnati, Cincinnati and Cleveland blew their engines.
Everybody at work is always asking me,
to take this into NASCAR. That's what's happening right now. Is you're running in the back. You had a penalty to start the day. You're down a lap, and the leaders just blew a tire, blew an engine. And so
I'll take it.
Yeah, so you're back in.
At work, everyone's who are you rooting for in this Thursday night game? Because I actually have to work on Thursdays. And that's exactly what I said at the beginning of the day. Is I'm rooting for injuries, and by halftime they're looking at me like, dude, you're scary.
Evil, yeah.
Yeah. So, So with everybody else in the division dealing with injuries, we are too, especially on the defensive side. But
also, let's be fair. The offensive line looks great.
And they're definitely picking it up. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with our opponents the last couple of weeks as well. We've felt we've played against some defenses that aren't as good against the run.
Broderick Thomas? Is that his name? The rookie offensive tackle. Your first rounder, you guys jumped in front of the Jets.
I'm horrible with rookies, man.
It's either Broderick Jones or Broderick Thomas. I apologize for getting your name wrong if I did. I mean, I did. He's one of the top 5 PFF graded, rookies this year. So, I don't think it's a fluke.
It's nice to hear. Like I say, the first 5 games we weren't seeing that at all. 5-6 games, and it just seems like now all of a sudden it's something's clicking.
Right, and we talked about this in the offseason that they needed to invest in the offensive line. That was a problem,
and they did.
Yeah. And offensive lines take time to gel. Offensive linemen get better. Offensive linemen, if you want to play a long career in the NFL, be an offensive lineman and just don't get seriously injured, because your second contract will be better than your first one. And your third one will be better than your second one, and it's just as long as you're still in the league. You look at some of these middling guys, the Cowboys paid Terrence Steele almost $20 million a year. You even know who that is?
Nope.
I mean, I know who he is because I'm a Cowboys fan, but you don't know who he is. He's just an average offensive lineman. They paid this guy all that money, and it's because the alternatives, there's a lot of jobs to be had, it seems like, but then at the end of the day there's not a whole lot of top level talent, so a lot of these middling guys they get paid.
Yep, absolutely.
So anyway, that was way off base, but yeah, the Steelers offensive line looks great. Both of your running backs look like they're startable. I'd rather start, maybe not this week, I would actually rather start 2 Steelers running backs than 2 Steelers pass catchers.
And in one of my leagues, I did start both running backs in one league, and it did well. But this week, playing Cleveland, I'm worried about that Cleveland D. With that game, we'll get to it, but it's the lowest over/under in 10 years plus.
33, I saw.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I expect it to be 13-3. That's how we're going to win today.
33 is way too much.
So, that kind of brings us into our picks. Are we ready for pick time?
If there's 33 points in that game, you're wearing the pie for sure because of DTR next week.
So, we got to work that bet out.
Hey, we're ready to do this.
All right. I think it's pie time.
Yeah, it's pie time. All right, Eddie.
Sweet revenge. And I learned last week there's a technique to the pie. So if you're really mad at somebody, or if you think they really deserve this pie, then you go bottom up. So you get all that stuff up in the nose. Because, it's horrible.
You watch videos?
No, I experienced this last week. I learned from experience.
Oh.
So now I'm like, okay, do I go top down or bottom up? How much does he deserve this pie?
So that was the worst part, was nose pie?
Yes. Oh, cold.
Ah, damn it. All right.
Hold on.
Be ready, everybody.
We need a song for this. We need a track on the old Stream Deck over there.
We got one that might work. Let me see here. Let me know when you're ready.
Should be like the chicken dance. All right, everybody, don't make bad decisions or this can happen to you.
Don't let it happen. There we go.
That looks good.
I like it. How's it taste?
Oh, taste is on point.
All right.
Yeah, that slaps for sure.
Yep.
Listen
to this guy, huh?
Yeah, listen. I've got a lot of smart things to say. Let me tell you.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Where'd those paper towels go?
They're right here. All right. Let me wipe a little bit of this off. So
Yeah, probably a good plan. Oh, the bet last week was Singletary versus Gus, which
And you know what's
actually
really funny is, like,
ended up way closer than it should have been.
Well, I don't even Gus. Well, no, I disagree with that. Because like, if we were to do it again this week, there's a good chance that Gus would win. He's already he scored 21 points
Right.
on Thursday, but he's going to do it the same way. It's just touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's just touchdowns.
That's it. That's all he has, and that's why I was betting against him.
Honestly, he's a good trade for Target too, because the team that how much would you have to pay to actually get him? Like a team, because it's difficult. It's one of those things that to project to continue.
Yep. All right.
You wanna start us off?
You want to cue us up here, Ray?
Dun, 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 dun. Oh wait, you mean read the scores? Yeah, give me a second. Let me.
Oh, this pie's so good.
Yep. Now you have breakfast.
Breakfast pie. See, I had to eat before I came so that I could eat the pie.
There you go.
Let me scoot that over real quick. Okay, first up, here we go. Let me see here. First up, the Chi-Town Bears versus the Detroit Lions. Chicago Bears are +8. Over-unders at 48. +350 is the money line. -455 if you're betting on the Lions.
All right. Well, this is actually going to be a fun game because Justin Fields is in. This is one of those games that last year hit the over big time, both times they played. And it could very well do this happen again this week. And that's just because Justin Fields is in there. If Justin Fields isn't in, I feel like Detroit just completely rolls. But with Fields in there doing his thing, let's see what happens. This could be a fun game that we didn't expect. But I do expect Detroit to win and win by over a touchdown.
So does Vegas.
Yeah.
There's a couple of narratives that I really like about this game. We talked about one of them was Dave Montgomery. It's a revenge game for him. And then also, Justin Fields. Justin Fields has to perform well the rest of the season, or he's going to be out of a job.
That's very possible. Yeah.
I don't think it's I don't even think you just say it's very possible based on the words that have come out from the GM.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard about
that they're evaluating Justin versus the college quarterbacks that are. I swear to God,
wow,
that came out. Yeah, they're evaluating Justin Fields versus the college quarterbacks that are available right now.
That's hilarious.
So he knows that, So it's time to ball.
Yeah. Well, and he can get paid by doing it. So
he can.
He's
not quite yet. I don't think he'll get paid quite yet because this is his third year. So he'd get his fifth year option picked up for sure. Is what would happen for him.
Right, but if they trade him away, it feels like whoever they're trading away to would want to
pick up his fifth year option. Still,
just the fifth year, not give him a contract.
I don't think so. Why would you?
Because you want
you don't have to though.
Well, somebody would have to view it as their franchise.
Well, okay, so based on all the injuries that have happened this year, it's possible. It's possible because the quarterback is, become this desolate place. It's actually seem almost like when you look at it from that perspective, it's actually kind of stupid that the Bears would even think about shopping him because they might have a couple quarterbacks,
right.
And it's and actually, if you were even going to shop him, just do it now. Do it now. you've got these teams that absolutely need a quarterback right now. Their situation will settle down come April. So, and if he performs badly, then what are you going to get?
Yeah.
A day 2 pick, maybe? Look at what they got for Trey Lance. Same draft.
Ooh, wow. We're putting Fields and Trey Lance in the same breath?
If he loses his job, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Trey Lance didn't
Ouch.
get a chance to keep his job.
So what do you expect to see today, though?
Huh?
So what do you expect to see today out of Fields?
So yeah, I like Justin Fields. Bringing that all around, I like Justin Fields, and I do actually think that the smart move by the Bears would be to stick with him. Whether he is a skyrocket for the rest of the season or not, because they definitely don't have all of the pieces that they need. They're playing better, and I actually do think they'll be competitive in this game.
Yeah, and they've got their running back. They've got
Herbert, but they activated Herbert, but I don't know.
You don't want to start them against him against the Detroit D anyway.
No.
So,
but I think
just mentioning that it's out there, they do have another.
But DJ
piece
Moore
back.
is an excellent start,
yeah.
and not. I mean, obviously you're starting him in redraft, but for DFS, he's super cheap in DFS. So
there you go.
I like Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is killing it. Cole Kmet
that's definitely
Cole
worth
Kmet
mentioning.
has 4 games of full PPR 20-point production this year.
Now, are any of those with Fields though?
Early in the year, they were 2 of them.
Okay, yeah,
2 of them
that's
happened
great
with
then.
Fields, and 2 of them happened with Bagent.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's why Cole Kmet is somebody if he's on your roster, you should be starting him and just shopping whoever else you have. You should just stick with Kmet. He is an auto start tight end for sure.
okay, but that's about everybody from Chicago's side, right? I mean, you're not thinking about anybody else.
On the Detroit side, we talked about the revenge narrative for David Montgomery, but it's getting really interesting for Jameson Williams, actually. He's getting really good comments coming out of Dan Campbell now. It's kind of turned around. He's starting to get some cred for showing up and working hard, and that's good stuff. That's
we'll
really
see.
good stuff. And he played after coming off the bye, played the most snaps he's ever played. So I like him a lot today, actually.
Okay. DFS you're talking though. You're not talking redraft. Redraft would
You don't want to have to play him in redraft. No. I'm gonna and already
really?
Yeah, Michael Wilson's gonna be out.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I'm gonna play him.
Whew. Wilson out, and you have to play Jameson Williams. That's a bad spot, brother.
I mean, to me, those are
Either way.
To me, they're well, Michael Wilson did get 6 targets with Kyler Murray in a bad matchup last week. So I was looking forward to playing him in a shootout today.
That's true.
So that's a bummer. I think Jameson Williams is somebody who could help you out rest of the season. That's what I'm saying. It's I'm not excited necessarily to play
Pick him up,
today.
put him on your bench, and see what he does.
Yes, that's where I would like him to be, is on my bench and not in my flex. But hey,
that's what I was trying to get out there.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
it's week 11, everybody. All right.
Yep, and Amon-Ra should absolutely smash today.
Who?
Yeah,
the sun god,
right?
Yeah, he's been playing pretty godly. If it wasn't for CeeDee Lamb, we'd be talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting because I traded Amon-Ra St. Brown in a deal that brought me back CeeDee Lamb. So I literally traded for the only guy that you could have got that would have made that deal worth it over the last couple weeks. You know what's funny is so I traded for CeeDee Lamb just before this nuclear explosion. I've had him for all 3 weeks and I lost twice.
Oh wow!
Because one of them was to you.
Oh well, you deserved that loss.
I did. I did deserve that loss. I did.
All right. So everyone's taking Detroit, I'm guessing, or
yeah. Go Lions! Roar! I saw something today. The Lions have not been 8-2 since JFK was president. How bad is that?
That's funny.
Because it's not like 8-2 is.
That's hard to do, man. For that,
because you almost luck your way into an 8-2 start.
Years.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in '97. I remember they came out of nowhere to people and started 5-0. I was a fan of that era of the team, so I remember this. And I think they went and they got to a point where they were 8-2 or something like that, and it was the best start in franchise history after 10 games. But that was only 20 years at the time. So for 60 years, you guys haven't just like gone 8-2 one time. That's crazy.
Next up is Cowboys versus Panthers. Cowboys minus 10.5. Over unders 43.5. Minus 675 if you're betting on the Cowboys, and plus 490 if you're betting on the Panthers.
And we talked about the Cowboys a little bit already, and this is going to be an ugly game. I don't know if we need to spend a whole lot of time on here, but yeah, Dallas is going to absolutely
look a lot
smash
like
Carolina. Yeah, Carolina. There's not a whole lot you want to be starting on that side. Adam Thielen maybe, but
remember when Adam Thielen was popping off?
yeah,
Should have sold him.
Dallas. Pollard has an excellent matchup, so you know. Despite
Come on,
what he's
Tony,
been doing,
this is the day.
You might want to start him, but
He's going to
man,
score twice today, all right?
yeah, okay, you heard it here first.
Like, he's going to score twice today, and CeeDee Lamb is still going to be a top 10 receiver.
There you go. And yeah, Dak is going to be amazing today. So
Dak's going to be amazing the rest of the year.
start your Cowboys, don't start your Panthers, and yeah, fast forward to next week.
Literally start 0 Panthers.
Yeah.
0. Don't do any of that.
Next up is the Raiders versus the Dolphins. Raiders plus 14. Over under is 44.5. Plus 750 if you're betting on the Raiders. Minus 1,200 if you're betting on the Dolphins.
There's a lot of really
Blowouts.
Big spreads
Yes.
this week. A lot.
And this is one of them.
It's almost like a challenge of like which team's going to cover their spread, you know? Which 10 plus is actually going to cover.
Yeah, man, 13 is a whole lot.
The Raiders suck, dude.
But yeah, and you've got them going cross country with new coach.
The Dolphins are coming off their
new-
bye. Their defense is healthy. They've got Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard back there, like, and that's I mean, so unless Josh Jacobs has a monster day, and they're going to try because they're going to give him the ball 25 times.
Yep.
And like so you auto start Jacobs
For
like
sure.
even in a matchup where you expect the Raiders to lose by 2 touchdowns, like you're still going to start
Yeah,
Jacobs.
I think he's a top 5 running back this week.
I think he's just top
4.
5. I think because of Antonio Pierce taking over at head coach, he's just a top 5 period because they're going to run the ball that many times. Last year he was so good because Derek Carr dumped the ball off to him so much, but he had a lot of like 16, 18 carry days, and it was just really efficient. Whereas the rest of the way, he's going to carry the ball 25 times a game because Antonio Pierce came out and said he's like, the path to us winning games is Josh Jacobs having 100 yards, and with the Raiders, not having enough weapons around, it's going to take them 20 plus carries to get there, and they're going to try. And for me, pick up Zamir White because they might just break Josh Jacobs. And then I'm so excited to have Achane back. I have Achane everywhere.
Okay, and people are going to be asking that question. So are
Start him.
starting him everywhere?
Bye-bye, Jeff Wilson. Bye-bye.
Well, Jeff Wilson honestly wasn't.
No. I mean,
much.
to like anybody who was keeping him on the roster for any reason, like I dropped him in Dynasty.
I was like, don't look at me, man. I dropped him.
No. I was just seeing what you would say, but like I dropped him in Dynasty. Is like, that's
Wilson
how
is
done
very
it
much. He's going to be good if people get hurt. You know what I mean? That's his only chance. And
even
at this point, I think it takes
I
two
wouldn't even
people.
say people. Two.
Yeah, it takes 2 running backs for him to be relevant now. So
that reminds me, like Kyle Shanahan said something funny about Jordan Mason. I'll try to remember that later. Tyreek Hill. Obviously, you need to start Devon Achane. You should still start Mostert because I think they're both going to get enough work.
Agreed. Yeah, I very much think that's going to be a split backfield. I don't think Achane is just coming in and taking over.
Achane is a 12 to 14, 15 touch guy.
And I think Mostert's the same.
For now, anyway, as a rookie. Like, I think Achane could put on some more weight. And, like, based on what I saw him do in college, like, I think he could surprise people and become a 20-touch guy. Like, he's durable. He's, like, it doesn't seem like it because he had that injury.
Twice.
But that injury that happened to Achane, that's a play that the NFL is looking at the end of the year. Like, that type of tackle.
Gotcha.
Because the frequency in which it results in player injuries.
Well, in preseason, he got picked up and smashed to the ground and hurt as well. You know what I mean? His size is definitely an issue.
Everybody hurts their shoulder and stuff in football because you're running into people.
But do you remember seeing the play? I mean, he got picked up and slammed to the ground, and that wouldn't have happened to a bigger back. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
you
saying.
say that, and there's like smaller running backs than him in the league that succeed. So
Like I say,
Anyway,
he's good.
anyway, I like him a lot. I think he's going to have an excellent career. I think eventually, like, he is going to be like that, Alvin Kamara like guy, where he's just like very efficient and gets a good amount of carries. But that's digressing pretty far.
Do you think it's a Hill or a Waddle day?
It's always
Or
a
it
Hill
doesn't
day.
matter. You just start them
You
both.
just,
Cross your
like,
fingers.
I think like if you're a Jalen Waddle manager, you're kind of mad
For sure.
at this point. You've got to be kind of
For
mad.
sure.
Because he's been so inconsistent, and it seems like he's just like, is he that much slower than Tyreek Hill or running that much worse of routes? Because like he gets like half the looks is what it feels like when you're watching their games. Like, where's Waddle at? Oh, he's out there.
Yeah.
And they're just giving it to Hill, but he's so good that you just have to start him.
Yep. Yeah, because he's going to have a 30-point game coming up probably in the next 3 weeks.
I
but
agree.
Which week?
I agree. Yeah, exactly. You don't know that's the problem.
Yep.
That's the problem with him, and that's why I wouldn't play him in DFS, but couldn't get away from him if we're talking
Yeah,
about
maybe in a tournament because maybe you catch that hot week. But yeah, no, I get you.
Not in
completely.
cash.
Yeah.
Maybe in a tournament stack. Not in cash. Yeah,
Agreed.
he would be out of my cash lineups for sure because he's still like 7,000 something like that if you want him. And then I think that's it.
Yep, I'm taking Miami.
Oh yeah,
Miami to smash.
I think we all are.
And
Yep.
then all right, the game of the week.
What we got?
The game of the week's coming up next.
And Bezzy says he's not mad. I'm assuming he's a Waddle owner.
Oh.
Next up, we got.
Hey, Bezzy, what do you think about the pies to the face, man? Funny? Sorry, go ahead, Ray.
Next up, we got Arizona Cardinals versus the Texans. Arizona Cardinals is plus 5.5. Over under is 48.
That's going up, by the way.
Plus 190 if you're on the money line for the Cardinals, and minus 230.
It was 5.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a fun game. I'm actually very much looking
that the
forward to
line's
this one.
going up.
That the over-under is going up?
That the line is.
Oh, the line.
Yeah. Because I actually like.
Everybody
With
wants to
Kyler
bet on
Murray.
Stroud right now.
You're right. They do.
Yeah.
Exactly. They do.
That's why.
Right. But I mean, I think that you, and then you forget that there's still a team in year one of their rebuild. So they have a lot of holes, and their secondary is real beat up right now. And like Kyler just came back. The Texans have had problems with tight ends already. Like they look at what they got. They gave up to Kate Otten,
Right.
and they've got a monster of a tight end coming in this week with McBride. I love McBride. He's another guy that I have everywhere. So this is just awesome.
He's definitely showing out right now.
We didn't start the episode with me boohooing about Mark Andrews for my dynasty team because the guy behind him is McBride. So I'm like, all right, I guess now I don't have to make these hard decisions. I'm just gonna I'll ride McBride the rest of the season. But anyway, I think he's gonna have a monster game today. And I like Marquise Brown against the Texans. So I think this is going to be a competitive game.
I do too.
I think it's going to come down to the last possession.
Dude, another that would be 3 weeks in a row for Houston having one of those games. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That'd
and they
be
should have
great.
lost last week. By the way,
Yeah,
they should have lost.
they tried to lose.
So
last
funny,
week.
so
Yeah.
funny. Actually,
It should have been a blowout.
when I rewatched the game. Well, no, not just that, but Tyler Boyd dropped a touchdown.
Yeah.
To end the game.
But they shouldn't have been in that position at all.
I agree, but
They
still
blew
should have
it.
lost. They still should. That's a catch he makes 9 times out of 10. 99 times out of
I
100
agree.
he makes that catch. And he's super funny. I went and I looked at who had Tyler Boyd in our league, and that drop cost Shady his match. He lost by 7.5 points.
Ooh, that's rough.
It would have the catch would have been good for 8.5 because it was like a 20 some odd yard touchdown. It would have been, and yeah. Sucks. Fantasy football.
Right. Singletary looks like he had a great game last week.
And I think
It
that's
looks
probably
like
why
he's
the
gonna have
line's
another
going
good
up.
one here.
I think that's why the line's going up is because it's how bad the Cardinals are against the run.
Right.
But they weren't really that bad last week against a team that runs the ball well. really well. Like, they actually did a pretty good job of bottling up Bijan. Bijan had like 22 carries for 90 some odd yards or something like that, and he's a really good running back.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think, and Houston's not great at running the ball. That's the thing, is like, to me, like, you want to just like take these matchups with running backs where they're playing against a team that's just poor against the run, and it's like good teams, teams that are good at running the football take advantage of bad matchups. Like, teams that aren't good at running the football, sometimes they get lucky, but it's not something you can just bank on. So I don't like, Houston has not been good at running the football, with the exception of last week.
Right. No, I agree.
In a matchup where no one expected them to be good running the football, because Cincinnati has a good defensive line.
And I'm pretty sure that you disagree with me here, but I think Singletary is a better back than Pierce, and I think that's part of it as well.
I do disagree. Yeah.
So yeah, but I really like Singletary, and when he came to Houston, I really expected him to have a big role.
You did say that. I'll give you. I remember that. You did say that. You thought, you did say at the time that you thought it was concerning for David Pierce prospects.
Absolutely. In the beginning of the year, proved me wrong.
You were completely off of Pierce in the draft season. I was too, though. I was not on Damian Pierce in draft season. He was going way too high.
Yeah.
Anyway, it wouldn't surprise me if Singletary has a great day today. It just wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't have a great day today too. Like, and if the game, like, for instance, if the Cardinals like happen to score quick first,
which could happen.
It could happen. Absolutely could happen. The Cardinals happen to get up 14-0, and then it's like, they're probably going to abandon the run at that point.
Yeah.
And so you're hoping he.
So looking at everyone's on Stroud now. So looking at those receiving prospects. Tank Dell is getting a lot of love this week. Nico Collins is coming back from his injury.
Somehow still more expensive than Tank Dell in DFS, which makes 0 sense to me.
Well, just because he's the number one receiver there.
He's not.
And
he's not. He hasn't had more targets than Tank Dell since week 4.
Every week, you sure?
Every week they've played together.
Targets wise, okay.
And he hasn't had more than 7 since then. And I actually just picked him up in that trade in the Iron Throne that were together, and I picked up Collins, and it's like it's a gamble. Yeah, he had week 4, he had 9 targets against Pittsburgh. He hasn't had more than 6 since then.
Okay.
And then Dell, and he's just been killing it. Makes me sad.
Bezzy wants to know Hollywood Brown or Calvin Ridley.
Dell.
I would take Hollywood Brown in that.
Dell in the last two games, 14 targets and 11 targets.
And one of those is without Nico, but yeah, no, I get your point.
He's a dude.
He is a dude, but he also seems like a dude that's going to have some off weeks. And
I just don't see it that way.
Well, we'll find out soon. What do you think about Busy's question there?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Hollywood Brown or Calvin Ridley?
Hollywood Brown. Not close.
Yep. All right, there you go. We agree this time.
That's funny.
All right. And then Brown is out.
Hollywood, and actually,
Hollywood
wasn't like a slight at Ridley. There's no Michael Wilson today for the Cardinals, so he's got Hollywood Brown, and then he's got Trey McBride, and then he's got Rondale Moore. And Rondale Moore is a sneaky start today, actually, because they didn't do it last week with James Conner back. They didn't put him in the backfield. He had no carries last week, but before that, he had started to turn into kind of like a mini Debo.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how they were using him. So, probably no other receiving options on Houston unless
Schultz. Like, you should play Schultz. Like,
wouldn't be super excited, but
Schultz is another guy that's like Komet. Like, if you have him, you probably had 2 tight ends, and at this point, you could just stick with Schultz.
Not this week though. Arizona's been pretty good against the tight end. I don't know if that's where I'd want to go this week. But.
Have they? I don't. That seems off because Arizona's like usually pretty bad against.
That's traditionally they've been bad. This year they seem to have turned it around. So, but let's see. Yeah. So Arizona side.
Yeah, but Schultz is just like he's getting so much work, dude. Like over the last 5 games, he's got 39 targets.
Yeah,
so he's getting 8 targets a game. Like
he's getting the work.
He's got and over the last 6 games, he's got 5 top 8 tight end finishes. So, like,
but the way you framed it was as if you have 2 tight ends, and I'm saying if I had 2 tight ends, I'd be really looking at the other one.
I wasn't saying if you had 2 tight ends. I was saying if you had Schultz. If you're someone who has Schultz, then you probably did have another tight end.
I see what you're saying.
Like, and a la Cole Kmet, like if you're somebody who has Cole Kmet, you probably had another tight end. I would be shopping the other guy and sticking with Kmet and sticking and maybe not the Kmet situation because they haven't hit their bye yet, but definitely with Schultz. Schultz has passed his bye, so he's got one bad matchup coming up. They get to play Tennessee twice in the playoffs. And like Tennessee is not a great matchup on paper for tight ends, but they've been parting with pieces. So and honestly, when if your pass defense is poor, and they're facing against a good pass offense, I don't care positionally like what fantasy football says you're bad against. I want pass catchers versus bad pass defenses. Yeah. So anyway.
So Arizona side, Kyler Murray you're starting, Hollywood you're starting, McBride you're starting, and Connor, and that's that.
And you're not feeling great about Connor either because he had no targets last week.
Yeah.
And Kyler's a little different, Kyler is different. And it's interesting. And I'd have to look back because Kyler missed a big chunk of last year too. So I'd have to look back at his targets with and without Kyler. I didn't actually do that. But it's something that might continue going forward. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to bring up is DFS. Don't forget about Robert Woods because there's going to be no. I think
Noah Brown is.
I think Noah Brown's out. Yeah. And especially if Nico Collins just in last second doesn't play.
Now, have you seen anything that makes you?
I haven't
yet.
That? No. Okay. I know he's just been questionable all week, and there hasn't been a lot of updates. So situations like that always have me a little weary all the way until we get the final report at 9 a.m. You know what I mean? And that's it.
So
I think so. Who we picking in this game?
I'm going to take Houston.
I'm going to take Houston because they're at home. Mm-hmm. I would definitely take the Cardinals in this game if they were in Arizona.
Yeah, I expect a fun, good game, but I'm going to take Houston.
Too. Yeah.
Ray, who you got there?
I'm taking Houston.
All right.
They're just on a winning streak. Whatever it was.
CJ Stroud's balling.
Yeah.
I love it. It feels great for me because I feel like I had to listen to so much. Oh, it's obviously Bryce Young, number one stuff, and from experts, and it's just for me, I was just like, what are you talking about? You guys watch football you watch all the games, you watch all the players, you do this for a living, you've been paid millions of dollars, and you can't see that CJ Stroud is obviously another level of talent from Bryce Young? Get out of here. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Next up is New York Giants versus Washington Commanders. Giants +9, over unders 39, +330 is the money line on the Giants and -425 on the Commanders.
Giants are horrible. You can start Barkley just because of volume. Don't start anybody else.
He's starting to talk, though. He's starting to talk, and it's it worries me. It's one of those things where he said, what did he say this week? It was it had something to do with there's no loyalty. Something along those lines. I'd have to go back and look at it. It had to do with loyalty. And there's just a lot of times we've seen throughout history where these star players who, and it's not like he's having a great season. He also hasn't scored since week 1. Doesn't get as much, crap about it as Tony Pollard because he catches passes.
Well, and because position he's been in, everyone's been like, oh, well,
that's
what can you expect?
That's exactly.
You expect it.
It's interesting when you think about it like that. Is he also hasn't scored since week 1. It's and touchdowns are if you're a good football player, that's what you do. You score touchdowns, right? So, anyway,
was Barkley also the one that? Was he also? I've seen him in an interview lately where he said he wanted to stick to one team. And let that be his legacy.
He did. He did say that in the off season. Like there was all kinds of stuff that he actually said that was like that led you to believe that he really was going to do whatever he wanted, whatever he could do to remain with the Giants. But the way things have played out this season, and just like things that have come out in the media, the way that it's going, honestly, I swear to God, and with his injuries, because he got hurt again last week. He got his ankle rolled up on at some point and limped off. It wouldn't surprise me if he shut it down and had surgery on his ankle, because like he put it out there several weeks ago, I'm going to be dealing with this for the whole season, so he kind of gave himself an out.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. That's definitely concerning.
Yeah, it would not shock me, like as the Giants slip farther and farther out of it, if like depending on the language that comes out of the locker room and stuff like that, it's entirely possible they just decide to shut him down and play some of these other guys.
Just suck the rest of the year.
They already suck. So
we're definitely taking Washington, and I like some of the Washington offensive pieces today. Dulick, McLaurin, Robinson looks like he might be all right.
He kills the Giants every time. McLaurin averages in his career something like 17 and a half PPR points per game. So,
yeah. I think the Washington Redskins, Commanders are
named him. He did it.
They're absolutely going to roll today. So
Side note, I was looking at this set of 32 mini helmets, because I wanted to get it, get it somewhere, so we can. It's just like in the view somewhere, And I was looking at the set, and I was like, oh, that's a really nice set. I was thinking about buying it. It was really, really, really close. And then at the very last second, I realized that's a Redskin helmet.
That was more reason to buy it.
Yes, and I was like, I don't know if it's okay to put that on.
Yeah, it could be one of those things. But they're signing a petition now to get the Redskins.
I know, and yes, the Redskins. Yes, the Redskins fans are, and I can say that because that's who these people are. They're fans of the name.
Well, it was one of the. It was one of the tribal councils of some kind.
Here's my thing,
and they're just saying there's no representation now. So,
here's my thing about that whole situation is that it was this political wave, and the thing that happens with those things is they wash over. Is the wave happens, and then people get what they want, and then forget about it. It's like they move on to the next thing that they're pissed off about, and they don't really care what they found a demand, you met their demand, and then they don't even care if it actually benefited people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the whole time my thing is look, people don't actually care about this. They don't. They really don't care. It's not a big deal. You don't have people in the streets calling Native Americans Redskins. It's not happening.
Yeah. That's true.
So to me, it was always a dead issue, and there was a family at the very center of this that is Native American that stood to lose a lot of money when they went away from that moniker and the name, because it was a Native American man in 1970 that made the logo for them, and his family was still getting paid until they went away from it, and they don't get that money anymore.
Interesting.
And it's you could say that it's well, fuck them, whatever. They should just go to work, whatever. That'd be the Republican answer. But the people who did this were Democrats,
and that if they do go back, it's not going to be with that logo.
Exactly.
So that family's still not going to get paid.
Exactly. It's it won't be. It won't be the same.
Next up is Tennessee Titans versus Jaguars, +6.5. Over under is 40.
We didn't pick that game, did we? Did we all?
We all went Commanders.
We did.
Do you want Giants?
Are you?
No, I don't want the Giants.
Okay, I was like, come on.
No, what I did want to say about that game though is that Sam Howell has been a monster. He did not play very well against the Giants. And the Giants have been poor against the run. So I'm not excited to start Sam Howell in this game. I definitely want to start Brian Robinson. We talked about how some of his production could have been fluky, last week, but they're still giving him the ball a lot. He did still have his 18 carries for 60 yards.
Yep.
So I like him. I like McLaurin, but honestly, I don't really like much else in this game at all. And Barkley, and that's about it.
Yep.
So next up, Tennessee Titans versus Jaguars. Tennessee Titans plus 6.5. Over under is 40.5. Plus 245 if you're betting the money line on the Titans, and minus 6.5 if you're betting on the Jags.
Come on, Bananarama.
Minus 305.
Come on, Will.
Yeah.
We want another monster game. We want to see another monster game. But you know what keeps disappointing me is that Treylon Burks still just can't get on the field. And
he is back from his injury.
Huh?
He got injured pretty bad a few weeks ago. So he's back.
So he's not yet.
Okay.
I think he was cleared, but they didn't. But they kept him out again.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I really like him, and just because it's you almost compare him to Jameson Williams because of the draft capital and the fact that they haven't produced, based on they haven't returned on that investment. But what you've seen on the field from Treylon Burks, just come on, dude, stay healthy and get 8 targets a game. Come on. It's, what it reminds me of, honestly, is the beginning of AJ Brown's career, where he had because AJ Brown, if you remember, he couldn't stay healthy at first, and then he I think it was later in his second year he really popped off towards the end of his year, and then he had that monster year in his third season, and I with Will Levis at quarterback, I feel like Burks could have, that type of career. He's got those type of skills. He's big, he's physical, he's fast, and he's also willing to the reason he's hurt right now is because he's willing to throw his body around. I like him a lot, and I'm looking forward to him coming back. And so and until then, I don't think Tennessee is.
But just sticking on the passing side,
That's I was bringing it around. So
Hopkins is being hyper targeted. So,
but not if it's not working out very well. It worked out well that first game,
and then
the
second.
But if you remember that first, he only caught 3 passes in that game. They just all went for touchdowns of 40 plus yards. But he only caught 3 passes in that game, in that monster game.
So you're not excited to start him, but you're definitely starting him.
You are, but you're as he should be wide receiver 3. If you have to start him any higher than wide receiver 3, that's not a good spot to be in.
See, I'd feel good about him as a 2.
I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't. The targets are there, the efficiency's not there.
That's fair.
And Will Levis was 1 for 14 on passes that traveled 15 or more yards last week. Right.
Yeah, it was a big change from the first game. So
we'll
see what happens.
He's got to get more efficient.
Yeah.
The guy that I'd be more excited about starting because of where you're starting him is actually Kyle Phillips. And he's produced the last couple of games, and it's it's starting to look like.
But as somebody who started him in DFS last week, man, was I nervous, because I was looking at 1.4 points for about 3.5 quarters and was just like, God dang it. And then at the end, I think he caught another 2 or 3 balls.
He had 3 catches on one drive.
Yeah. So he ended up getting about 10 fantasy points.
So the other side, the Jaguars are confusing.
And King Henry you start, but
no matter what,
it's
winter. It's winter time now, so you just start Henry every week. Just don't question it.
Yeah.
And you guys are picking.
And I'm still not starting Spears yet. Not yet.
Correct.
But he's somebody else who, because of Levis, if Levis actually, if he's the dude, Spears is another guy that, I mean,
could have
not
in the future,
redraft.
yeah.
Sorry, we're talking about this is
Dynasty.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, I like ETN this week. I do not like Lawrence.
I actually don't like ETN.
Really?
Yeah, because he hasn't been very efficient, and Tennessee's actually still pretty good at stopping the run.
So who do you like on the Jacksonville side as far as offense?
Kirk.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Wow.
I swear to God.
See, I would
that's it.
throw ETN in there
Like
too. But
I kind of like Lawrence just because they're so bad against the pass.
All right.
I just don't know where it's going to go. But,
he'd make me a little bit nervous just the way things have been going. But
no, I agree. No, and all,
but I'm still taking Jacks.
That's a reason why Trevor Lawrence is probably like a sneaky DFS play, because he hasn't been playing terrible. The touchdowns have just been coming out of the running game. It's kind of like the opposite of what you got going on with Tony Pollard, where it's like Tony Pollard hasn't been terrible. The touchdowns are just coming out of the passing game.
That's why I kind of like ETN. You know, he's been getting the
right.
work, so.
And generally I agree with you. It's just that Tennessee is actually a good rush defense, and it's not like ETN is averaging 5.5 yards a carry. He's averaging like under 4.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I don't expect a big day, but productive.
You're not going to bench him. Don't get cute. Like, especially at this point of the year, you're not going to get cute and bench ETN for like Devin Singletary. No, I mean, actually, that would be a good one. That would be a tough call.
That would be
a tough call if you're staring at like Eckler, ETN, and Devin Singletary. That'd be rough.
So who are you picking?
I like the Jags.
As do I.
I like them. I like them to get off the schneid. They got their asses kicked last week. So maybe they'll play bully ball today.
Yeah, but I do want to see what Will Levis can do.
I do
definitely
too.
interesting.
I'm very interested to watch Will Levis, and I cannot wait for the fantasy playoffs, and we get 2 weeks out of the 3 of Levis versus Stroud, and hopefully by then Burks is back.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, yes, I'm dreaming of it. And and another guy, Okonkwo. I do actually like Okonkwo today. Jacksonville could not stick with George Kittle.
All right. Sorry, I'm looking up the injury report here. It is 9:00. All right. So, Justin Fields is in. Stafford is in.
Yay.
Let's see. Achane, we all know. Khalil Herbert is in. Deontay Foreman in.
So stay away from Bears running backs. Just no Bears running backs.
Oh, Jeff Wilson is out. Not that it matters. Nobody was playing him, but I didn't even know he was hurt.
Bye, Jeff.
Alexander Madison expected to play. That's a
that
big one.
I saw
for a
that.
lot of
I thought
people.
was funny because I was somebody who was like, I'm not gonna chase Chandler. I'm not doing it.
Smart. I was a little bit worried about his concussion protocol, but he made it through.
It's interesting. That is interesting because I think he's going to be the first person to make it through the protocol and play the next
in 1 week. Yeah,
since Pickett last year.
Yeah. Okay, wide receiver Keenan Allen is in. Zay Jones is in. Everybody else looks to be out here. Guyton is out.
Yeah.
Michael Wilson out. Noah
This guy
Brown.
spent a bunch of fab on Guyton this week everywhere.
Wasn't it $1? I think I spent $1. I outbid you by
no.
one.
You spent a bunch in. It was in Dynasty. You spent a bunch in Dynasty.
Oh,
It was a chunk. I did, but I laugh, but I feel your pain because I did that with Palmer about 5 weeks ago.
Some weeks
When
you just gotta search,
when
man.
Williams got hurt, I did that with Palmer.
Yeah. Let's see. Burks, as we just talked about, out. Michael Wilson out. Justin Jefferson, that's a big one. People were thinking he
didn't
might
get
play this week.
activated.
He is not.
Yeah, and we will talk about that later. That's coming up.
Tyler Lockett is expected to play, and Garrett Wilson expected to play.
Woo! Big one.
Pat Fryermuth is finally back in. The Muth will be Luth again.
Yeah.
And Smythe, Everett, and Goddard are all out.
Goddard broke his arm.
Yeah.
Like, he's not coming back for like 4 weeks.
All right. That's the injury report and weather. I'll recap it real quick. I looked over all the weather.
It's a beautiful day today. There's a
lot of wind out there. Not like heavy wind.
It's
a
not
lot
terrible.
Of like 10 mile an hour winds. So,
but there's sunny skies. There's not a whole lot of overcast. There's a chance of rain and sleet tonight in the Denver game. Denver, Minnesota.
Tomorrow also with
Eagles and Chiefs.
Yes.
And then the other one is to remember is that it's cold in Green Bay. Hella cold in Green Bay.
There you go. Okay, sorry. Moving on.
Next up, Chargers versus Packers. Chargers -3. Over/under is 44. -155 if you're betting on the Chargers. +130 if you're betting on the Packers.
I actually love this game for DFS because of the limited options. Because you've got no Guyton, you've got no Palmer, you've got no Gerald Everett either.
Okay.
So, it's going to be a lot of Keenan Allen and a lot of Austin Eckler.
Yep.
And if you look at what the Steelers just did to the Packers last week with Najee and Jalen Warren, you're salivating as an Eckler manager.
Absolutely.
Right now. Like,
Yeah, he was my number 2 on the week for sure.
yes, Eckler should have a monster day. He really should have a monster day because there's nowhere else to go with the ball.
Yep. And Keenan Allen should be good, should be steady, and that's about and you're starting Herbert. So,
you can. It's interesting when Gerald Everett is out. You can throw a dart at Darnell Parham
if you have to. Now, Green Bay side, is there anybody you're looking forward to? Jaden Reed?
Jaden Reed. Very excited about Jaden Reed. I've been trying to get him in Dynasty all week.
I can see how he'd be a Dynasty pickup. Honestly, redraft, I don't think you really touch him unless you have to.
In this matchup, the reason I want him is because I think it's going to be high scoring. Like the Chargers are going to force the Packers to score. The Packers are going to be able to score on the Chargers.
See, that's not the take. I don't think the Green Bay is going to be able to score. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game on their side. I think
we're having another Jordan Love swell.
Okay.
He played really well. I shouldn't say really. He played pretty well last week, and I thought that he played well enough almost to win in the Pittsburgh game. But Christian Watson, I just don't understand that guy.
Very disappointing so far, that's for sure.
Well, and when you watch him, he does silly things, like where he jumps for the ball when he doesn't need to, and so he's so inconsistent. Like he dropped 2 touchdowns in that Pittsburgh game. Like you were watching that game. Yeah. He dropped 2 touchdowns in that Pittsburgh game. And so Pittsburgh's also just kind of charmed. So, but my point is that Love has played better without necessarily getting the credit for it over the last month or so. His weapons are getting healthy. Romeo Doubs is off of the injury report finally. I can't remember if Watson's still on it, but he's got Jaden Reed. He's got Musgrave. He's got a fully loaded backfield. I actually like this game for fantasy football points a lot.
Huh. See, and Aaron Jones is about the only person from Green Bay I'd be willing to start. And wouldn't even love that.
That's interesting because I'm actually he'd be my 3rd favorite player to start in this game for Green Bay. The first 2 would be Reed and then Musgrave because the Chargers struggle against the tight end.
Yeah, I actually made a tight end list and I reluctantly put Musgrave into my number 12 slot. I was like, I guess he's startable.
That's about where he belongs.
Yeah,
that's about where he belongs.
Yeah,
but he has the upside. He does have upside for sure.
All right. Well, I'm taking the Chargers. I like the Chargers here. What do you think?
The most interesting stat I saw this week was that all time the Chargers are exactly 500. I forget exactly the number of wins, losses, and ties, but all time their franchise is exactly at 500.
Sounds about right.
And since Justin Herbert became the starter, they are 29-29. They have scored 1,504 points and given up 1,504 points.
That's pretty funny.
Against the Packers?
And no,
just for the year.
Not in, that's since he became the starter for his career. We're talking 4 years now.
That's pretty funny.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
So my point is, Charger's going to Charger, and this is a tough place to play. I am going to pick the Packers.
Nice. All right.
I think Brandon Staley is going to get fired at the end of this year. I really do.
Ray, who are you taking?
I'm taking Chargers.
Brandon Staley's going to get fired, and Bill Belichick's going to take over. I heard that this week.
I heard
somewhere.
that rumor too.
I heard that. I thought that was really, really interesting because it's like I know Bill Belichick likes Kellen Moore, and So that would be really interesting if he just went there, took over the defense, let Kellen Moore do whatever he wanted with the offense.
Yeah, maybe.
No, he's because they've got some pieces on defense. Like he's got he's got Bosa, he's got Derwin James. Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Interesting.
All right, what's next, Ray?
Next up, we have Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Browns.
And we're done.
Pittsburgh +2, over/under is 35, +110 if you're betting on the Steelers, -130 if you are betting on the Browns.
The over/under went up.
Over/under.
Did it really?
It went up to 35.
Wow. Yeah,
It
was
was at
definitely
33.
lower. Yeah, it was definitely lower
Last
than that
night it
earlier
was
in the week.
33. So I don't know why it went up all of a sudden. But
Yeah.
I
This
will
is-
say that if the game hits the over/under, if it hits the over, it's because Dorian Thompson-Robinson actually had a full week of practice preparing to be the starter this week. Whereas I think people are projecting what he's going to do based on what he did in his first start, which was against Baltimore, and he didn't know he was going to start until like Friday afternoon. So I expect him to play much better. We talked in the offseason. What I had said was, if I couldn't get CJ Stroud, like if I was not in position to draft CJ Stroud, he's the guy I would have waited for. The Browns got him in round 4, round 5, something like that.
Which means a lot.
He started 3 seasons, I think, at UCLA. Went to bowl games every year. He's a legitimate quarterback. He did.
Okay, and I'm just saying, I feel like you might be talking from your dynasty team's perspective right
I
now.
watched
and hoping a little bit.
No,
but-
I watched. Just in watching his tape, I had no idea where he was going to go. But just in watching tape, and the reason I ended up watching his tape is because I was watching Zach Charbonnet, because they played together at UCLA, and I couldn't stop watching Dorian Thompson-Robinson because he wasn't on my list of quarterbacks to watch. There was no buzz on him at all. But in watching the Charbonnet tape, I rewatched it so that I could rewatch DTR. Like, because immediately after I watched Charbonnet, I went and I watched his quarterback's tape because he has the ability to move. He has pocket presence. He has the ability to move in the pocket, and he can make and keep his eyes downfield. That's the thing, is there's like when you watch Kyler Murray, when you watch Lamar Jackson, like they'll start to leave the pocket and they'll have like one guy that they're watching, and if that doesn't work out fast enough, their head comes down and they go into run mode real fast. And this is like when he runs around, like that's why I said I didn't agree with calling him a running quarterback, because while he has the physical capabilities to do it, he's looking downfield to make plays. And sometimes that's bad because sometimes he does like make throws in the middle of the field and turn the ball over. He did that in college, but he has the ability to get incredibly hot too. And he's confident. He will throw the ball into tight windows. I like him a lot.
Yeah, and I think he's going to get absolutely murdered today.
So
He's
also
gonna look awful.
he's got his left tackle back today too. He's got Big Thanos back.
All right.
So
We'll see if he makes it through the game.
I think he will.
He's young. He can get back off.
I thought it was a big deal that they made the announcement to go with him over PJ Walker for the rest of the year. Knowing that Watson's going to be down.
And to me, that's just a future thing.
Well,
we want to see.
PJ Walker's 25. It's not like he's.
But we know he's not going to be the starter here. We know what we have with him. He's a backup. Okay.
Sure.
Let's see what we got with this kid.
No, but they're in a position to win. They're in a position to make the playoffs. They're 6-3.
I agree. Yeah, I know.
They just beat the number one team in the division on the road. Like that's not what you do. Like you're not at 6-3. I don't care like what happened at 6-3. You're not just going up. Guess it's next year. That's not happening.
No,
you don't even have to go 500 the rest of the way to make the playoffs. They can go 3-4 and make the playoffs. So I really don't think that's what it is. I think
they feel like they have a
I
chance.
think he's the
PJ
best.
Walker, they know they don't.
And that's my point. Is I think that he not only is it a future play, it's a now play. They think he gives them the best chance to win now.
Yes, but it's a low chance. All right, so
guys talk. The Browns are going to win today.
Absolutely not. Steelers are going to win this game.
Okay.
I really like the Steelers. I feel confident for the first time in a while. So
I don't know
that's a
why
bad
you
thing.
shouldn't. Like after the Browns showed what they could do against the Ravens in Baltimore last week. Like I don't know why you're feeling super confident, because the Steelers have luck sacked their way to most of their wins.
And today we're just going to look good.
I don't think so. I don't think
so.
How are you going to look good? You're playing against the number 1 defense in the NFL. How are you going to look like?
Because we're going to have the ball all the time.
Hold on. It has been more than 40 games since you guys have produced 400 yards on offense. You're playing against the number 1 defense in the NFL with probably the most dangerous player in the NFL in Myles Garrett, playing the best football of his career, and you think your offense is going to look good.
And by look good, I mean we're going to score 17 points and have 300 yards. I mean, I'm not saying
That's
we're
not
going
looking
crazy.
good.
That is looking
No,
good
it's not.
against the Cleveland defense.
In 1977,
Well,
that's looking good.
it's good for us, brother. That's how we play.
Like Pickett ought to change his face mask to Bradshaw's.
oh, jeez.
You guys ought to just go do the whole thing, go all the way back.
So just fantasy-wise, Deontay Johnson is the only one I want to touch.
I don't even want to play him. No,
He's the only one I'd touch.
I wouldn't.
I
touch
can't
him.
think of anybody else.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Everybody else on both sides of the ball, I'm
I'm fine with starting Jerome Ford. You guys have been gashable on against the run.
Yeah, I think Cleveland's going to emphasize like all we have to do is stop the run to beat Cleveland today.
I don't think so.
We'll see. All right.
Here's the thing. The reason I say that is I'm not saying that DTR is anywhere near Deshaun Watson. I'm not saying that. The way Deshaun Watson was playing because of his injuries, it's entirely possible that their offense plays better because they weren't playing well.
Okay.
Next up, we have.
Who'd you pick, by the way, Ray?
Oh, I picked the Pittsburgh
hold on,
Steelers.
real quick. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
We do have to move on.
I know we do. But I have to bring up Cedric Tillman. I have to. He just knocked the snot out of Kyle Van Noy last week. It was awesome. And it's one of those things that, like, he's a rookie, right? And you just don't see these things out of too many rookies. But he, like, you guys got to look this up because I can't really describe it very well. But he put a block on Kyle Van Noy that just completely decleated him, and then he stood over him for a second. And the funny part about that is it pissed off Van Noy to the point where he got up and got himself a personal foul penalty by going after Tillman. So not only did he make the incredible block,
but he got the penalty,
but drew the flag too. Like and had the wherewithal just be like,
right.
It was awesome. It was awesome, and I've talked about this kid. Rookie quarterbacks have a better connection with guys that are farther down the depth chart.
Right.
Like backups have more connection with guys that are farther down the depth chart. The Browns just got rid of Donovan Peoples-Jones. They kicked him out. Bye. Yeah. This kid's why. So he's coming. It's coming. I'm excited for him.
Next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the 49ers, plus 13.5. You're betting on the Bucks. 41.5 is the over-under. Plus 550 on the Buccaneers, minus 800 on the Niners. This game, that's probably, in my opinion, the closest thing you're going to see to a fantasy bonanza.
Oh, you like it? Actually, that's funny because
looking at all the matchups, I feel like everything's going to be lopsided except for this game.
Statistically, it lines up that way, but this is one of those, this is where I like to pull out my football goggles, and I actually think Baker Mayfield's going to get his ass kicked today.
Okay.
Because this is one of those matchups where just the things that Baker Mayfield doesn't do well line up very poorly with what the 49ers do well on defense. I think the Buccaneers are going to struggle to score today. I really do. I think this is going to be a lot like last week we saw the 49ers beat up Jacksonville.
I will agree with the fantasy bonanza on the San Francisco side, though. because
I agree.
Like, it's hard not to start everybody. I think Ayuk's going to have a great day.
And that makes it
Debo's
actually
back.
hard to be super excited about anybody but Purdy
Yes.
and McCaffrey.
Yes, Purdy and McCaffrey. Those are your studs.
And because McCaffrey's not going to rush for 100 yards today, you know that. Because Tampa Bay has had like a little bit of a renaissance the last few weeks. Like they're playing really well against the run. I'm like, you're going to start McCaffrey, but you're still not like, you're not expecting him to have like, this isn't going to be a 40-point game. This isn't going to be like McCaffrey rushes for 100 yards and a touchdown and catches eight balls and a touchdown. Like he might catch 8 balls and a touchdown, but he's going to rush for somewhere around like 55, 60-ish yards. And it's going to be a grind.
Yeah, I would agree
whereas
with that.
I think the passing offense, like Ayuk is the person I'm most excited to start out of the 49ers passing offense. I'm not as excited to start Debo because he tends to make a lot of his hay on the ground, and the Buccaneers are good, defending the run, whether it's running backs or receivers. So I'm not as excited about him. But I just have a belief that Purdy's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns today. I do.
And then on the other side, Tampa Bay, Evans, I think, is the only one you can start. I don't know. I can't think of anybody else on that team that I want to start this week.
There's no guarantees. They're all interesting. But and me personally, based on how I feel things are going to go down, I don't think Evans is even going to have a great game. I think he's going to have a startable game, because he's going to get his 10 targets. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to catch his 5 or 6 balls for 70 yards, and he might score. He might. If someone's going to score, I think it's going to be Mike Evans. But I really do think that Baker's going to struggle. I think he's going to get a lot of his passes batted down. I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure. And he doesn't scramble well. He does not deal with pressure very well at all.
There you go. So I'm taking San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're on the Frisco wagon. Next up, Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. New York Jets are at plus 8.5. The over-under's at 39, plus 320 if you're betting on the Jets, and minus 410 if you're betting on the Bills.
This is the game that I don't want to pick because I just I feel like I'm putting a nail into the Jets. If
I want to pick the Jets too, but man, I just think Buffalo's going to win it this week.
I do too.
The Jets just are not putting it together offensively. That defense is still amazing. Still might be the best in the NFL.
It's interesting though.
Man, you can only do so much.
Another interesting stat that I had heard was Zach Wilson is on a string of games where he has thrown for more than 260 yards and no touchdowns, and it's the longest streak in NFL history.
Wow.
It's
and that's worth getting brought up. Is he's doing well between the 20s, and he's just sucking in the red zone.
I don't even think that he's sucking. They've had I swear to God, I could keep coming back to this, but they just, and it's not because it's not him. They just keep beating themselves. There's so many times where, because of a penalty, some sort of mistake that wasn't his, they ask him to do it again, Zach. Yeah. And he can't always do it again, and it's hard. It's the NFL, so it's he's had 3 or 4 touchdowns taken away this year. He'd be having a better year than Kenny Pickett if he hadn't lost all those touchdowns. So,
not turnover wise, but okay. Anyway,
he's and you know what? He outplayed Patrick Mahomes on Sunday night. He's had a decent season. I feel like I feel like he's just got the worst weapons in football. He's got Breece Hall and he's got Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Okay, fair, but those are 2 amazing weapons.
They are, but when you pair them with a bad offensive line and an inexperienced quarterback,
we've seen the result.
Yes, exactly. If he had either one of those things, if he had an offensive line that didn't fuck up all the time and gave him time, or had more playmakers, if he had one of those 2 things, we wouldn't be talking about Zach Wilson the way that we are. I firmly believe that. He's played solid football.
All right. And So you're starting Breece Hall. You're starting Garrett Wilson.
You have to.
You have to start those two.
You can.
I think that's all you can start for the Jets.
I think you can start Conklin.
Okay, yeah. Conklin, you can do
Over
if you have to.
over the last 2 weeks, he's caught
tight end emergency. Yeah.
He's had 7 targets, and I wouldn't even say emergency. He's had 7 targets and 6 targets, and he's caught 100% of them.
Right.
It's like,
I'm just saying, you probably have somebody better on your team, or unless they're on bye.
They could be on bye. Yeah, they could be.
So, and the Buffalo side, what do you think of Stephon Diggs this week? We've got Sauce Gardner on him. Is Sauce Gardner going to follow?
I'm trying to sell Diggs.
Time out real quick.
Okay, time out.
Is there such thing as a left-handed bug? Because whenever I'm like you see it.
I agree with. I thank you for bringing that up. I have the same problem because I almost switched hands just so the camera could see what it actually says. But yeah, I think all coffee mugs are that way. They're all left-handed.
I'm gonna start
because but it doesn't make sense. Quick aside, that makes no sense. People who make coffee mugs, like I don't buy the coffee mug for what it says on it so that I can read it all the time. I want other people to know that this is how I feel.
Yeah, exactly, right? Especially if it says championship or something like that.
So let's get some right-handed mugs. Come on.
That's funny.
All right. Side note over. All right. I'm selling Stephon Diggs
On the season.
both.
So okay, well today
I'm selling I don't like it. You have to start him. You don't have a choice. You're not.
let me give you an option. Like this is what I'm facing in one of my leagues. Okay. I've got Stephon Diggs.
What league is this?
Keeper league from
Okay.
Belgium.
Okay.
Anyway, so Stephon Diggs or Puka Nacua.
Nakua.
Really?
Yeah. They get Stafford back. They're at home. He fucking destroyed Seattle in week 1.
Or Nico Collins would be my other choice. But.
Nakua. Of those 3, and now, you know what? And now it's funny because I say that, and because I have in those ESPN leagues that I play in, I'm sure that I'm starting Diggs over Nakua in a couple of the spots, but that's probably not. But I'm not in danger in any of those spots, so I'm just not getting cute. You know what I mean? Whereas if I was man, I really have to win, I'd really, really, really have a hard time starting Diggs over Nakua.
I'm in that don't get cute spot. You know what I mean? I'm 7-3 and I'm favored in the matchup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just play Diggs because in that spot it's I'm gonna roll my stud, and if Nakua outscores him today, he outscores him.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Because it's not gonna be.
I don't feel good about
Nakua. Nakua's. I expect Nakua to have a 15-20 game, and Diggs to be 10-15.
Yeah.
He has to score to get above that, and he's really shown that lately because he's had a lot of fucking 8 for 65s, and he's had I think he's averaging under 11 yards a catch on the season.
So is there anybody you're excited to start for Buffalo, or is this just going to be a defensive game and move on?
Kincaid.
Kincaid.
That was at the end of the year. That'll be the one thing that I kick myself over. I think if I don't win, that'll probably be the thing that I'm most upset about that I didn't do is I didn't go hard in the paint for Kincaid at all because he was available, and I have been not punting, but I've been circling the drain at tight end. I'm back on Njoku. And he's had 4 straight 10-point PPR games, and at the beginning of the year, I told everybody he was my favorite sleeper tight end, but now with Watson out, don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm anyway, Kincaid. I like Kincaid now and the rest of the season. I think he's a monster start. He's top 5 until Dawson Knox comes back.
All right. I'm going to pick Buffalo, but my heart is with the Jets.
Me too. I'm going to pick Buffalo and not be upset at all if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. Next up, Seahawks versus the Rams. Seahawks, I scrolled a little too low there, +1.5. Over-under's at 46, +102 if you're betting on the Seahawks, -122 if you're betting on the Rams.
This could be one of those sneaky DF or big fantasy games. You know what I mean?
It could be, but I see it as a low-scoring game.
Okay. Well, do you have some
I would bet
insights
the
into
under.
the game?
Huh?
You have some insights into this one?
Well, with Lockett kind of being questionable, didn't practice all week.
And DK's been hurt too. So I'm big on Jackson Smith and Jigba the rest of the way. I am.
And then Stafford coming off of an injury. They still don't really have a really good running back.
Still don't have
prospect.
Kyron's out until next week.
Yeah. So I think this is like, I don't ever really say this, but this is one of those bet the under games, I think.
Okay. And it's a divisional game. So, divisional games are
Rams, the Rams expert. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't like a fantasy bonanza out of this one. And I mean, and Brian and I, who, pick fantasy all the time, we both like it. So,
I called it sneaky for a reason. Sneaky because it very much could go that direction.
To me, it comes down to whether or not the Rams are able to get pressure on Geno Smith. If the Rams are not able to get pressure on Geno Smith, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Because I think what's going to happen is if the Rams are able to get pressure on Geno Smith and they force a lot of punts, then I think the Rams are going to be methodical with the way they move the ball today, because the Seahawks are not very good against running backs. So one of my favorite starts of the day is Darrell Henderson because of what Brian Robinson did last week. Because you think about what Brian Robinson did last week to the Seahawks, and Sean McVay loves getting the ball to his running backs out of the backfield in the passing game already. So the Seahawks are just not good at defending that. I think that's where it's going to happen today. And that's actually the only thing that gives me a little bit of pause, unlike the receivers, Nakua and Kupp, is I actually think the best play of the day is Henderson.
Really? Mm-hmm. Not worried about Freeman at all there?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's odd every time I see them put Freeman in. I'm like, why are you doing that?
So you haven't, like, you're watching the game probably more intensely than I am. So when you see Freeman running the ball, you don't think he looks a little bit stronger or faster?
I don't.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I think he probably...
We've been seeing different things. That's interesting.
I think he probably can give you the optics of that because he'll have a good 3 or 4 or 5 yard hit the line
and look
go.
good doing it. Yeah.
And but I just think Henderson will give you more consistency than that.
And I've got a league where I have both, and I'm starting Henderson. So I'm with you. I just it feels to me like every time I see Freeman, he looks like he's got a little bit more juice, but obviously I'm the only one that sees it. So take that for what you will.
You're right a lot of the time. And I would, it's not something that like I'd be sad about if I was wrong about it.
Yeah, no.
Or I wouldn't, if this is an over game, then I wouldn't be sad about it.
It's like say divisional games.
And we didn't talk about Tyler Higbee at all. And Seattle.
Okay. What's going on with that? Because he was hard to find in the DraftKings lineup. I had to search.
He just hasn't been performing.
I had to do a player search.
It's because Stafford's been hurt.
Yep.
And they had Rippin and they had a bye, so he's just kind of off people's radar. But he's interesting.
Yeah.
Question: Geno Smith or Russell Wilson?
I'd take Geno there. Who's Denver play again?
Minnesota,
yeah,
and they're at home. Like so. The reason I'm going to take Geno is because Los Angeles is just a more conducive place to scoring points than Denver is at night in the cold. Like we've seen a lot of these primetime games in Denver.
This isn't a primetime. Oh no, you're talking about
primetime games in Denver. Not produce any points. Like some of the most boring games that we've seen in primetime are games that are played in Mile High.
Well, none of these games are in prime. They are. They are. Yeah, I'm looking at Thursday
that's what I'm
now.
saying. He asked specifically about Russ, who's playing in Denver tonight, or Geno, and I think I would lean Geno.
Yeah. Tough decision.
That's a tough one.
Close one.
That's a tough one, and especially because the Broncos are starting to roll a little bit. Russ is starting to feel himself. Russ has better numbers on the year than Patrick Mahomes.
Interesting. But Geno is facing that offensive line from our defensive line.
Yeah, Geno has better weapons. I think he's just
okay. I'll go with that.
I don't know. I think Geno is better lined up for success today than Russ is.
Okay.
All right.
And remember, historically, Seahawks don't beat the Rams.
I am not saying he's going to win.
You got to score to win.
I think they're going to score. Brian and I both think that this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Okay. All right. I hope you guys are right.
And
I want to see.
And
fucking-
you're gonna want me to be right about this too, because I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay,
Oh,
we're
look
all
at
on the
that.
Rams. Bez
Wow.
is on the Seahawks, though. All right, next up is Vikings versus the Denver Broncos. Actually, that was a good little lead-in. The Vikings +3, over-unders 42, +124 if you're betting on the Vikings, and -148 if you're betting on the Broncos.
And just I gotta start off with here, but I love Dobbs so much. God,
Dobby?
man, I wish he was on our team.
Yeah,
I'm
he was.
So I know.
He
I'm
was
so
on your
disappointed.
team.
He was our third string quarterback.
So what you need is a time machine.
Yeah,
And a direct
yeah.
line to Mike Tomlin.
Hey, this guy's good. Take the rocket scientist.
That's what I would
But,
do. With
I'm-
What was the
I'm
other? There was
seriously-
2 names I heard for him. It was so Dobby is hilarious.
I like Dobby.
That's hilarious.
I hadn't heard that one yet. I like
and
that
then
one.
the other one is
The Pastronaut,
Yeah, the Pastronaut. Yeah, the Pastronaut.
because of the rocket
Yeah,
science.
because he's a pastor. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
that's why.
I didn't know. That's cool. But yeah, he's that he's that feel good story. I'm definitely rooting for the Vikings for the rest of the year with Dobbs.
Definitely.
Same as the Jets. You know what I mean? It's just one of those feel good teams that I'm rooting for.
You gotta love Zach Wilson. I mean, side note. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just me? No?
Let's see. Fantasy wise, Minnesota is still no Jefferson. Hawkinson should have one monster day today.
What do you mean today? I told you guys when Dobbs took over at quarterback. It's exactly the same.
I don't remember that.
He had tight ends in Arizona with Dobbs at quarterback, had a 40% target share. TJ Hawkinson's target share the last 2 games, 41% and 40%. It's going to continue.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson is tight end 1. Sorry, Travis Kelce. And it's so funny to me because I remember having I could pull this up. I'm sure I had this conversation with a guy in my dynasty league in the offseason because he made a move where he got off of Kyle Pitts and ended up with Hawkinson, and he asked me what I thought about it, and I was like, honestly, like Kyle Pitts is a freak, but TJ Hawkinson has already been producing, and I firmly believe that he has a tight end 1 season in his future. Was what I said at the time, and it's happening.
Yeah.
He's going to finish as the tight end 1, and going away.
And that means he is going to be a league winner, guys.
Yes.
So if you can somehow get him,
Yeah,
grab him.
I don't see how you could.
Right.
I really
no,
don't.
Right now, whoever has him is in love with him. So.
Yeah, there's no way you're getting him off of whoever's got him. There's no way.
Alexander Madison is back. I don't know how
Honestly,
excited
he
you
might
want
be
to be
tight end
about
1 in
that.
Dynasty. Yeah, he should be. Like it's him, and Laporta.
Yeah, I think
Right?
probably Laporta.
You
but
probably,
yeah, it's
but maybe
close.
Hawkinson's
Yeah.
only 27.
Yeah, you're right. No,
Like we play Dynasty in 2 to 3 year windows.
it's very true.
So, yeah, like I don't think I would bet on Laporta outscoring TJ Hawkinson over the next 3 years. I don't think I would make that bet.
I'm not looking to make it.
Anyway,
Minnesota, like I say, Madison, you can start, but I wouldn't be excited about it. And I think the
I
same
wouldn't
goes
honestly.
with Addison.
Actually, honestly, it's really so. Other than Hawkinson, and I think if you have Dobbs, you probably have to start him. You probably don't have a better option, because if you have Dobbs on your roster, you were probably quarterback hunting, and and there's probably not a better option available. But I'm not excited about Minnesota's offense today, or any of their weapons outside of Hawkinson's, just because he's going to get so many looks.
I
Because
agree.
the Denver defense is actually played really, really well.
Yep.
Like all of their numbers are skewed by that game against Miami, but if you remove that game against Miami, it's them in Cleveland.
Yep.
Like they are shutting down wide receivers, they're shutting down running backs, they're shutting down quarterbacks. Like tight ends are doing okay against them, and so you really want Hawkinson.
Yes.
But to me, that's it. I don't want without Justin Jefferson in the lineup. I don't want anybody else.
I completely agree. And then on the Denver side, are you starting to get excited about some of these players?
I am selling high on Cortland Sutton because he's all touchdowns, and if you saw the one against Buffalo last week, it's some of them are just it's very, very unrepeatable. It's very he's scored a lot of lucky touchdowns, and they're definitely going to Judy first. Judy is the number 1 target in that offense, and he still just isn't producing. So No, I'm not excited about any of that. I'm like Javonte Williams.
Javonte Williams is the only one to be excited about.
My guy.
Yeah. So Williams and Hawkinson, you play, and everybody else try not to.
Wilson, I think we talked about having Russ versus Geno, and I would choose Geno over Russ, but I don't think there's 11 other quarterbacks I would start in front of Russ this week.
I made my list. He didn't make my top 12, but he was probably my
Who was
13th guy.
okay? Who were 10, 11, and 12? I want to see them.
Sorry, one second. 10, 11, and 12 were Howell, Murray, and Fields.
No problem with any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all going Vikings?
I am going to take Denver.
Me too. Damn it! I thought you were going to take the Vikings.
Yeah, I want to. Again, I want Minnesota to win, but I think Denver has found something and they're on a roll.
Wow, I got a lone wolf. I snuck a lone wolf in there. Ken's got one too, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I have one.
Ken's got two.
I have two. I get the lone wolf on the Packers at home. That feels good. Against the Chargers.
Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Monday night. Here we go. Eagles versus Kansas City. Eagles are plus 2.5. Over under is 45.5. Plus 120 is the money line. Minus 142 if you're betting on the Chiefs.
And I think this game is going to be. What's the over under on this one?
45.5.
I would bet the under.
Okay.
These teams are known for their offensive weapons. They have, and everybody's got them in fantasy football. They're playing really good defense.
Both of
teams.
them. Yeah.
Both of them playing really good.
I'm
defense.
especially impressed with Kansas City, but
too.
yeah, Philly is definitely.
Because Philly has
Philly crushes the run.
Philly has all the studs that you know about. You know about Philly's defense. Everybody knows like all of their stars. Whereas Kansas City is like that they've got. Nobody. No, I mean, who's there? Like Chris, they've got Chris Jones, and that's it.
Right.
Like I can't name another Chiefs starting defensive player for you.
No, I couldn't either.
So the fact that they're playing so well, it is surprising. They're at home.
Well,
it's going to be in Kansas City at night, late November. It's going to be cold.
And Philly's weakness is the pass. Like they can be thrown on.
Yeah, Rashee Rice.
And Mahomes is good at throwing the ball.
I
love Mahomes.
Based on like trajectory, I've been trying to get Rashee Rice anywhere I can get him, and I'm talking redraft and dynasty, because I think you look at what's happening. He's gotten more and more involved as the season's gone along, and they just had their bye. So this is the time when like coming off of buys, when you've got a rookie who's been like worked into the offense, like has been a portion of the offense already, it's a good time to gamble on them because that's when they go off. And I'm not saying they all do, because they don't, but this is the time when these guys take off. As teams come back from their bye and these rookies like they find their niche in the offense and go on to win championships. That's when Jamar Chase went on his run. It's when Amon St. Brown went on his run.
Now, the one thing, I don't think Rice is going to be a world beater, but I do think he's going to get better than what he has been.
I'm not saying he's going to do that
because
because it's hard. Like since Tyreek Hill left, we haven't had any wide receiver just dominate targets for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
so I'm not saying he's going to do that, but I do think he's going to be a startable wide receiver with like at least a couple of games where you're like, damn, I wish I'd started that guy.
Yeah, no, I like that take. I have Mahomes as my number one quarterback on the week.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have done that.
No. I absolutely love Mahomes this week.
I like that.
That you can pass on the Philly defense.
I expect and he's at home, so
it's at home.
He's at home, and we've seen Mahomes dominate in his home cold weather, no problem. So to me, while we talked about the Denver game and like we've seen like how that just kind of like can bog down offenses, the Chiefs offense scores in every weather. Mm-hmm. We've seen that. They don't care. So I like that. I don't disagree with that at all. And I think the Eagles are susceptible against tight end too. So this is a great game for Kelsey. He hasn't been great, but this is a great game for him.
Yeah, this is a get right game.
And then Pacheco is somebody probably starting and not happy about it this
I
week.
was going to say, man, I'm actively trying not to start Pacheco.
I don't
this
think
week.
I would do that. I think he's getting too many opportunities. And you know who he's really starting to remind me of is and I it's fun because I love watching him for this reason. He reminds me of Marion Barber. You remember Marion Barber?
Not really.
He was a running back for the Cowboys around in like Bill Parcells is the one that found him. And then at the beginning of the Tony Romo era, he was the running back. He was the starting running back. It was him and like Julius Jones, but he took the job over. And he had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons, but he was just like almost impossible for just one guy to take down. And that's Pacheco. Is like he'll have a defensive lineman hit him in the backfield, and if you didn't wrap up, like he's not going down. And I like that about him. He's a fun running back to watch. He just runs hard and like looks for contact. I love it.
He's definitely fun to watch. I love watching his little legs go, man.
And he's been pretty matchup proof this year. Like he has, like he's been just a really solid.
Tough matchup,
I know, but he's just been a really solid RB2. So like, there's not a whole lot of guys. Like, I don't think I could put him out of my top 24.
Wow, yeah. I didn't get that far on my running backs, but I would have been very surprised if he made my top 24. So, Philly side, I mean, you're still starting Swift, you're still starting those receivers, you're still starting Hurts.
Yeah, just temper your expectations. In one league, Jalen Hurts had him coming off a bye, and I had picked up Jared Goff because he was available in that league. I'm going to start Goff today.
Yeah,
I'm going to start Goff over Jalen Hurts today.
Yeah,
because that defense has played so well, and Jalen Hurts, the bye came at a really good time for them because he's banged up. Like he's not been playing the same.
But I tell you what, if you look at Hurts, you go back and you look at his games for this year, you're like, oh my God, how am I going to bench this guy?
I know
everything is over 23, 24 points.
Yeah,
everything.
He's the most consistent quarterback in football.
Yep. So. Yeah, I'm starting Mahomes over him in my guillotine league, and I'm a little nervous. So,
that's a good one.
Yeah, fun.
Ooh, that's a really good one.
I'm taking Kansas City. What do you guys think?
I'm with you.
Me too.
All right.
So we are at 9:47.
We're finished with this week. So we don't have any more things to cover this week, but there are Thursday games.
Yeah. So do you guys want to switch to DraftKings and then switch back? So we can hit that before the 10 o'clock window.
That is a great idea.
That's it. That is a great idea.
So while you guys are pulling that up, I'll go ahead and read mine off. Let me see here. Let me pull up my contest real quick. Lineups. Okay. So let me see. My cash lineup today is going to be Jared Goff with Montgomery, and then got Singletary. Brian's got me on the Singletary bandwagon. Ayuk, McLaurin for wide receiver, Nakua, also Higbee. I think because he's only 3,300. I think if he's gonna have a breakout game, I think this might be one where they're gonna have to target a tight end. Reynolds again with Goff, and then the Washington Commanders as defense. If you guys aren't ready, I could read an AI lineup.
I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
All right. My cash lineup, I'm going to go with Brock Purdy this week. He's a hard one to avoid. Seems very, very safe. Running back, Josh Jacobs just seems like he's going to get a ton of work, and 6,800 just seems too low for the amount of volume he's going to have. Devin Singletary, he's got another great matchup, and he's got the backfield to himself this week. Brandon Ayuk is my hookup there. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill. I just one of those. I feel like Tyreek Hill or Waddle is just going to be absolutely amazing this week, and Hill's a good one to bet on. So I spent up for him. So I spent down on Kyle Phillips, hoping that once again he can give me 10 points this week. McBride is a heck of a tight end choice this week. Hard to avoid him. McLaurin in my flex because he tears up the Giants. And I punted once again with my DST and took the Packers for 2,300.
Always punting that defense.
Yep.
You are forever punting on defense. It's really funny to me.
It's working for me.
It is.
Give me 1 second. I had Michael Wilson in my lineup.
Yeah, I wouldn't start him.
No, you should not do that. So I had to make a change.
How much was he?
He was 34.
You can do Rondell at that
Rondale's
price.
33, and that's
And
what
Phillips,
that's what I'm gonna do. Like I was looking real quick if I because I had Debo in my flex, so I just wanted to see if I could maneuver him down to McLaurin because I like McLaurin,
Yep.
and what it would do for me. But I'm not gonna do that. So give me 1 second.
While he's looking for that, I will go ahead and read you guys the AI lineup. The AI's got Purdy as quarterback, Connor, Singletary, Dell, Hill, Moore, Ingram, McBride, and Steelers
Which Moore?
defense. D Moore.
DJ Moore. Okay, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of the guys that I'm on this week.
Yeah,
that's for
me
sure.
too. Yeah, for sure. All right, so my cash lineup for the week is Jared Goff at quarterback, $6,600. At running back, I've got Austin Eckler for $8,600.
Nice.
And then Daryl Henderson for $5,000. At receiver is where we're saving some money. We're going to play Rondale Moore at $3,300, which was going to be Michael Wilson. So that's our dart throw. Jaden Reed is still only $4,000 despite being the best, receiver on the Packers team. So I don't understand that. And I like that game today, so I like him. At my last receiver position, I'm stacking with my quarterback, $8,800 for Amon St. Brown because like I said earlier, if CeeDee Lamb wasn't doing what he's doing, we'd be talking about Amon St. Brown a lot more. Mm-hmm. At tight end to stack back against my Lions, I've got Cole Kmet at $4,100,
Right
on. Which seems incredibly low. Like I don't see how you look at the top of the price chart and it's George Kittle, and and you compare George Kittle's season to Cole Kmet's season, and it's like they should at least be like close to each other. And Kmet
Isn't
should
that
be more
price
expensive.
chart kind of depend too on popularity?
It does.
So a lot of people are probably still on the Kittle.
And that's my point is like Cole Kmet is doing it for $4,100. Like let me see real quick. Cole Kmet for $4,100, and he's averaging 11.8 PPR points per game. Cole Kmet has failed to bring back on 4,100 just 3 times, and one of those games he didn't play. Yeah, once.
What about the last 4 games?
Every other time he's been double or better the value.
What about the last 4 games?
He didn't play in week 7, and then week 8 against the Chargers, 17.9. Week 9 against at New Orleans, 23.5, and last week against Carolina, a team that like you don't have to pass against, 9.5.
Nice.
So, and here's the target numbers: 10, 8, 7. So
Yep, that's somebody you want.
exactly. And then at my flex, I've got Debo for $6,300 because I just you want a piece of that. And then my DST is the Dolphins at $3,200 at home against Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders.
Very nice. Yeah, I could not afford that. Tournament lineup. I've got a nice one here. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray in my tournament lineup. I've got Breece Hall because when I go tournament, remember you want people that can go 5 times the price that they're going for. So you want names that can really just have a heck of a day. And Breece Hall is one of those names for me. Singletary can really outdo that price. He proved that last week. Cooper Kupp. I think people are a little bit off of him this week, but I really like him. DK Metcalf as well can have a great game. So if that game we were talking about earlier, I was stacking it up a little bit. My stacks with Kyler Murray, I'm going to go with Rondale Moore, cheap at $3,300, and McBride at $4,400. So that's who I got on that side of the ball, with Singletary as my bring back. And then my flex is Achane. I mean, that's where you want Achane this week, is in a tournament lineup. I'd be real nervous about him in cash, but in a tournament, whoo, man, this guy could do magic. And he's only 66 this week, which is pretty cheap. And then I went with the Jets DST.
Oh, that's nice.
So, looking at the games, I didn't really see something that was going to be like a back and forth. And my closest one, I think, what did I mention? I mentioned one of them. Bucks and Niners was the ones that I thought was going to be closest. But I still don't see that as a back and forth game. So I went kind of a different strategy with this one. I went with Jared Goff, Henderson, Montgomery, McLaurin, Reynolds, St. Brown, Laporta, Kareem Hunt and the Rams, because I feel like the Rams, like, again, that's going to be a low-scoring
did
game.
say that.
So
Right on.
He could be right.
Like it.
All right, and my tournaments, I like to stack off this Bears-Lions game. We talked about this earlier. So at quarterback, I've got Justin Fields for 6,900. Couldn't get away from playing Austin Eckler because I kind of like he's my RB1 today.
That's my
like,
one regret is I don't have him in either lineup. I'm like, I should have put him in there.
At running back, to stack against the Bears, I've got David Montgomery for 6,500. At 50, it was 56, not 5,800. DJ Moore is my first receiver. And then I have Jaden Reed again at 4,000 to stack back against Eckler. Synergy there. And then to complete my Lions-Bears super stack, I've got Jamison Williams at 3,300. And then I've also got
I knew you were going to have him in there.
Cole Kmet in this lineup as well at 4,100. In the flex, I've got Raheem Mostert, because while we're all on Achane, we're so happy to have Achane back. Mostert is still going to carry the ball against a team that is very, very bad against stop and run.
One of us is going to be right.
Yeah.
Achane or Mostert, one of them is going to have a great day.
Did you happen to see what they did against Denver?
Oh, those two? Yeah. I mean, that's legendary what they did against Denver.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Oh,
who
it could
was
be
wrong?
both.
Who was wrong that day?
Yeah, that's a once in a lifetime.
If you started
man.
Achane, you were more right, but starting Mostert was not wrong that day. All right,
we gotta get moving.
And then at 4,200, my defense is the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh, paid up. All right.
he said, all right, so back on to the Turkey Bowls.
And we don't really need to talk about these games too much because, it's hard to that much in the future. So do we just want to pick these real quick since it's 4 minutes?
They're really fun matchups this year. Just everybody should know that. And there's a Black Friday game, like for the first time ever. There's a Black Friday game. It's the Jets and the Dolphins. But the early game is always in Detroit. Detroit's hosting Green Bay this year. I'm going to pick the Lions.
I'll take the Lions.
Okay, so we're all on the Lions there.
I wonder when the last time they were 9-2 was. And then the afternoon game is always in Dallas, and this year the Cowboys are hosting their Indian friends. I think that those two teams should get together every Thanksgiving. Right?
Hey, why not?
Which
man?
two teams?
The Cowboys and the Commanders.
I always thought they
because
were-
they used to be the Redskins, so
Yeah.
it's like Cowboys versus Indians on Thanksgiving. It should just happen.
I thought that was the thing for a long time. I guess it was.
It has randomly happened many times throughout history, but no, they just like
It's not a thing.
no, and it should be right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Cowboys
I like
versus
it.
Indians on Thanksgiving. Does it get any better than that?
Okay, so we're all going Cowboys, I'm guessing?
Cowboys, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then Niners and Seahawks. I think we'll all go Niners.
Yeah, Niners are rolling.
And
Well, they're
then-
going to be back to rolling. They got all their
Right,
pieces
right,
back,
right.
and you know who looks good, and it's terrifying, is Randy Gregory. You saw that they got him, right?
No. Who's that?
He's the defensive end who had a real stud season with Dallas. Then there was like some shenanigans during the offseason in the free agency process, and the Dallas front office did something to piss him off, and he went and took the exact same deal that they offered him in Denver rather than staying in Dallas. Then like everything kind of like happened the way that it did in Denver, and they cut him this year.
Oh, wow.
And did they cut? Maybe they either cut him or they traded him to the Niners. I think they cut him. I'm pretty sure the Niners didn't give up anything to get him.
Wow.
And so yeah, the Niners have picked up Randy Gregory, and they picked up Montez Sweat from the no, they got Chase Young. Excuse me, they picked up Chase Young from the Commanders. Like their defensive line is just absolutely loaded. It's like better than the Giants from those Super Bowl years loaded. Like they're that good.
Nice. All right, and what's our last game?
That was it. Oh, Miami and Jets.
Dolphins, Jets, and I will take the Jets.
Ah, nice. My heart will take the Jets, but I will take the Dolphins.
It's in New York. It's in New York.
Yeah.
It'll probably be an ugly game, and I'm still not impressed with Tua throwing the ball.
against good defenses, he does tend to look bad. I agree.
Not just good defenses, bad weather. Remember, he just completely fell apart at the end of the year last year. Remember that game against Green Bay? It was like it was a holiday game of some kind. It was because it was around Christmas or something like that. But I remember he just was awful.
All right.
And so like that's something I could see happening. Like, you know, Tyreek Hill's numbers coming down as the weather gets colder because quarterback can't throw the ball very well. Anyway,
Something
thanks
to
for
watch
listening,
for.
guys.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hope
Absolutely.
you crush all them turkeys.
Go watch some football, guys.
Football time.
Yeah, we're late.
Yeah.
Get it. Woo.